Welcome back to Suitcase Princess. My name is Shauna. If you are new here, we're a homeschooling family of 4 who is very passionate about sharing our love and the logistics of family travel. This video was originally posted over on Making Everyday Magic, my main channel, which is mostly devoted to motherhood and homeschooling. This is our family travel channel. Before we go any further, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me down in the comments or over on Instagram. Again, just a reminder, this content was originally posted over on my other channel, Making Everyday Magic. New videos will show up here monthly as they are related to travel. It has been a minute since I have filmed. Guys, welcome back to Making Everyday Magic. My name is Shauna. If you are new here, we are a homeschooling family of 4 who loves to travel, and that is what we have been doing. So today, this is going to be the first, I think, of 5. We'll circle back to that in just a minute. Today, we are gonna talk about family of 4 in London. Guys, before we go any further, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me right on down in the comments or over on Instagram at MakingEverydayMagic. So here's the deal. Yes, I have not done this in a really long time. And you may be like, what? Shauna, we just saw you last week. And yes, you did, because in anticipation of knowing that we were taking a vacation that was so long, 10 days, and just coming back from the holidays, like I worked really far ahead to be prepared, to be able to keep up with my regular posting schedule while I was traveling and once I had returned. So we actually traveled January 26th through February 5th. So we were gone those 10 days. I think I had like 3 or 4, 5 videos, something like that go up in that like little span of time. And then I had also planned to have the rest of that week coming back and the following week kind of ready to go. So we just got back from the time I am filming this on February 9th. I am planning to share 5 videos right in a row, so that'll be 2 full weeks of my posting schedule. The last 2 full weeks of February. I think the last one will go up like March 1st. So that last 2 weeks on the calendar will be our London vacation. Now, I really thought about how to break it up, how to keep it entertaining, not too in-depth, because this isn't a travel channel, but I like sharing my travels here. And how to keep it kind of focused for the things that people want. And so I've come up with what I'm gonna do. This video is going to be like travels, like literal travels for our family of 4. So it's gonna be hotels, what we ate, how we got around, flights, yada yada, that stuff. The second video is going to be museums, just all the kinds of museums. The third video is gonna be unique to London stuff, Tower Bridge. I mean, stuff like that. The fourth video is going to be magics and castles. So like Harry Potter Studios, Stonehenge, Windsor, things like that. And then the last video will be a trip recap as well as how our budget fared with this vacation. What we thought we were gonna spend, I already have a video up on that. And then what we actually spent as well as a recap. Now, every video is going to end with this is what we did well, and this is what we either didn't love or could have improved upon or wish we would have done, yada yada. So every video is gonna have that. Also, am going probably this weekend from when I am filming this, start sharing. I'm gonna do more in-depth, like one item things over on Instagram. So if you wanna follow that, follow that. I'll try to remember to make them into shorts too. We'll see if I can remember to do that, because I know not everybody has Instagram or Facebook. Yeah, so that's the plan. And I don't know if I'm going to re-record that little snippet every time, but I might just throw that bit into all 5. So we did make it to London. We had overall an absolutely amazing time. Just to give you a little recap, we've got me, my husband, we took an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old. We packed strictly carry-on. Grandma and grandpa met us there. They are mid-60s. So just to give you an idea of like the travel party. They did not pack carry-on. They packed what I think was the equivalent of a Land Cruiser. The luggage was so huge, but That is okay. That was their business, not my business. So okay, so we flew from Houston to Miami on our Southwest points. We couldn't find an affordable direct flight, and we did actually start planning this vacation like a year ago, as far as scoping out the times, prices, all of that. And that is when I learned that February was the best time to go, when I started looking in February. So I was like, well, we've got a little bit of time. From there, okay, I need to slow down. I already know there's gonna be people like, what are you doing? Okay, I have a lot I want to get out and we're already 5 minutes in, okay? So this might wind up being a long video, but it's going to be amazing. So basically started planning very far out. I also started researching all of the things that I would want to do, and we decided to stay in London, not move around. Yes, there's tons of other things to see, and those are absolutely on our list to do eventually. But this vacation, I wanted to take a European vacation for my 40th birthday, which is coming up in May. And my husband wanted to start as far as Europe goes. And yes, we've been to Paris, but he said if we're going to start traveling around Europe, he would like to start with a country that speaks our language. So he was like, I think England is the right answer. So we settled on London, and I wanted to maximize our time, see all the things that we wanted to see. So I have it in another video, so I'm going to link that video right up here. Color-coded spreadsheet. So yes, I'm that person, and I'm glad we did it. Okay, I am. But we started shopping around. We figured out that we could go direct from the East Coast over significantly cheaper. We have Southwest points. So we found a flight that we liked going from somewhere on the East Coast that Southwest flies to a London airport, preferably Heathrow, because it is the largest, most serviced. So that is what we wanted to do. So we went Southwest from Houston to Miami, and then we were able to get an amazing deal through Plum Benefits, which is like a tickets at work kind of discount broker kind of thing, on an Air France flight. But Air France is part of the Delta network, so it's like Delta, Air France, KLM, and Virgin Atlantic. So it was operated by Virgin Atlantic, had an absolutely amazing flight experience with them. We were able to get seats all together without paying extra for that. I also included checked luggage, even though we chose not to check baggage. Flights were amazing. We opted to do an overnight to allow us to kind of adjust. And honestly, I think it worked in our favor. So we had like a full day of travel. We left Houston at like 8. We got to Miami, I think about noon. We had about 5 hours. So we went over to a different terminal and enjoyed a little play area in Miami. Super cute. It was great. It was great. That terminal was great. Our terminal back was garbage, but that terminal was great. And so then we hung out, and then we went and boarded our flight in the evening time, and we got into Heathrow at like 6 a.m. And then going through Passport, they have a family line. So England, a lot of places are incredibly accommodating to families. And we're going to talk about this a lot because my family was accommodated quite a bit just for being a family. It was amazing. So Passport line for families got us through so quickly. We got settled, we got ready, and then we hopped on the Heathrow Express. We took mass transit literally everywhere. So we bought our tickets on the Heathrow Express, which was great. Took us right into Paddington, popped over. We were lucky enough to go ahead and get somebody, and I was so concerned about this. As far as tube station tickets, under 11, so 10 and under are free, but 11 to 15, you can get a discount pass where they pay half. But you have to have somebody add it to your Oyster card, which is their like scanner do. You don't have to have it, but I didn't want to tap my credit card, which my tap credit card doesn't freaking work. I gotta get it replaced. Anyways, so the Oyster card, you can buy it, you can add travel cards on it. I mean, you can do all kinds of things, and I can talk more about this. If anybody wants more information on anything, let me know and I will absolutely share. But we tapped, instead of doing that, we bought the card, but to get the discount on hers, I was able to find a worker like just immediately. And I thought that would be like so impossible because the stations didn't open until way later and it was gonna be like a whole thing. No, wicked easy. So glad that worked out. If you're wondering, wicked easy. You find a person, they take it to the machine, they apply, and then boom, she sang half off the whole time. It was amazing. So we hop on the Heathrow Express, we get to Paddington, we transfer to, I think, Bakerloo, take Bakerloo South, our hotel, intentionally right by the London Eye in the County Hall building, premiere in County Hall. Location, amazing, because we were right by Waterloo, which is a massive tube station, and also a national rail, which is like the overground trains. Location could not have been better. It was amazing. You round the corner at the end of the building, boom, Big Ben, right by the river. Just location was perfect. Cost was amazing. And I don't remember what I spent, but we had a budget video coming up, so I'll tell you again, but it was like so cheap for however long we stayed, maximum like 9 nights or whatever. I don't remember, 8 nights. Amazing. We had paid to include breakfast. Now, we couldn't check in yet, so basically what we did is we dropped off our luggage, and the lady was so kind. She's like, I'm gonna give you a special room when you come back, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. So when we were eventually able to check in later that afternoon, which yes, we kept everyone up. We slept overnight on the plane, like a little bit, as much as you can. We did some melatonin, and then we kept everyone up all day. We just kept going. We went and did Leicester Square. We did some amazing and fun things, which are things I'll talk about in other videos. But basically, we kept everybody up. We were able to check in around like 4 or 5, shower, straight to bed, and then everyone slept full straight through until the next morning. So Tubes with a family, so easy. You go through the big gates. It's a little hectic at first to kind of get the timing and the planning of it, but it's just so incredibly efficient. And so I'm so glad that we did it. I priced it when we were headed back to the airport, and like an Uber would have been like 85 pounds or something, and then we would have needed multiple, and it was like, instead we paid like £3. So just so affordable. The overground trains were amazing. We, for Heathrow Express, we did buy our tickets at least 90 days in advance, which saves you an absolute ton of money. So if anything you can buy ahead of time, ton of money. Tubes, again, toward the end of our trip, we did get a 7-day visitor travel card, which gives you a massive discount. It wasn't applicable on the young visitor card, but that was okay. As far as trains, we did opt to buy a friends and family pass. So I think it was £30, and it covers like parents and their kids or people traveling with children, which then did save us an absolute ton of money. We needed overground tickets to Stonehenge, and we also used them to Windsor. And even just on those 2 trips, 6 tickets on the first, 4 tickets on the second. It did save us enough money to justify, and you can price all of this ahead of time on their sites. It did save us enough money to justify purchasing that £30 friends and family pass. So that one of the apps that was incredibly helpful, Google Maps, no. City Mapper, stunningly helpful, incredibly helpful. Riding the buses around was great. TfL, which is I don't remember what it stands for. I don't remember what TfL stands for, but it's basically like the system there in London. But even right on their website, they have routes that tell you which bus routes to take to get a good view. It's the double-decker buses. Almost always, my kids could run right upstairs, sit in the very front row, and it was like £1 instead of paying for a bus tour, which in hindsight, I wish we had scheduled and done an official bus tour and an official boat tour, because we did take an Uber boat one day, one trip. It was terrible. It was a nightmare. We pushed it off as kind of like a last minute thing. I didn't love it. I didn't love it. It was basically like a big party cab, and everybody was headed out. And granted, it was like Saturday night. Everybody's headed out to like the clubs or whatever, but it just wasn't great. It wasn't great. So in hindsight, and granted, we did want to do the Horrible Histories tour, but it was off season, which we're going to get to in a minute. But yes, so that if you're doing the Uber boat, let it be what it just is, and maybe don't leave it till the end at nighttime. It wasn't great. We didn't love it. And then we left a water bottle bag behind, so I've got to purchase another one of those, but it is what it is. And then walking. Walking is so easy everywhere. You really do. And I read it so many times. I watched so many videos that were like, look left, because we're so conditioned. Maybe look right. I don't know. We're so conditioned to look to the left. We're so conditioned to look to the left because that's where cars are coming from. I'll be darned if the very first time I didn't almost not look and there's a car. Zoom. So many tourists get hit because they just don't look. But it's painted on the road at every single crossing telling you to look the right direction. So like, really do it or you're gonna get whacked by a car. For real. So hotels. Our first room was so big, so amazing. We had so much room. I was so glad that was our room. My in-laws were so jealous of the size of the room that we had. We booked a family room. They booked like the plus room, so they had like a few extra things we didn't have, but we had a bathtub and a shower sprayer and then a separate hand sprayer. It was awesome. It was so big. We had a view of the London Eye, gorgeous room. We never turned on the TV, so I don't know what that was about. We really could have done with like some sort of table, and I'll insert that. But the second room, because we transferred closer to the airport for the last night because our flight was like at 9 a.m. So you got to be there at like 6 because international, it's like a whole thing. That room, once they had pulled out both kids' beds, was literally just beds. It was like if we family slept and just made like one mega bed, it would be like this whole, like the whole half, it was tiny, so tiny. Okay, let's talk about food. So we did pay extra to have breakfast included with not our last day because it wouldn't have been open yet, but every other day of our stay, we did pay extra to have breakfast included, and the kids ate free. It's a traditional English breakfast. So it didn't change at all. So it was the exact same thing every day. And that was definitely too much of that. It was nice having it included because we could be fed, ready to go. A lot of things didn't open until a little later. So we could have it done and be totally done and finished and ready to go. So that was nice. And there was a large variety. It just wasn't like they didn't have the things that my kids were used to eating. They had a different style of bacon, a little bit more like Canadian bacon and not cooked as much. So they didn't want that. And then that never changed. So yes, that I can't decide if, it was the right decision. But I maybe feel like if I would have preferred to go maybe on a day-by-day basis and then kind of branch out and do bakeries and things like that because those are always fantastic. So that's how I feel about that. Coffee. Coffee is everywhere, open all the time. Coffee is everywhere. So we had Starbucks, Costa Coffee, Pret a Manger coffee, Olenstein at the recommendation of my bestie. Coffee everywhere all the time. Instant coffee in the room, like just coffee everywhere. And it's not like drip coffee like we have here. So my father-in-law was a little thrown off on that, but it's Americano, so it's basically just espresso and then water. But there's coffee available all the time everywhere. And I would love to tell you that coming out of this, I have an absolute favorite. I just like coffee. I will drink, I enjoy coffee, but I'm also not like a coffee snob. So I'm not the person to ask about that. I tried the best coffee according to the bestie. And I was like, oh, it's coffee. It's fine. Like whatever. So I don't have strong feelings on it. But if you are like me and you want a coffee almost all the time everywhere, there's coffee all the time everywhere. So that was very nice. And I did learn that my Starbucks app would not work there. And for whatever reason, my Google Play Store wouldn't let me download the UK Starbucks app. So I couldn't order it. So I was annoyed because there was one like right on our street. So I probably would have had way more coffee had it let me do that, but it didn't. Okay, going into this, we did, because we always have run into this thing, where are we gonna eat? What are we gonna eat? Especially when we're the group and it's like a complete nightmare. Going into this, we did research where we would be at what times, because I had my color-coded spreadsheet. And then we looked for pubs and things near there, because I know that restaurants can be quite expensive, but pubs are a bit more affordable. And I didn't feel like the food costs, and again, I haven't done it yet, but I didn't feel like the food costs were anything more or less crazy than you would normally find. I felt like it was all really on par. It's just in pounds instead of dollars. So it is what it is. And we had, water when we wanted it, and everything was very accommodating. So I didn't feel like we were massively put out in that respect. But we did look ahead at pubs because they are more likely to have things that my kids would eat. So I could get the local favorites, the pies. Oh my gosh, amazing pies. Pies, pasties, sticky toffee pudding, Scotch egg, which smells exactly like an egg McMuffin. If you didn't know, it smells exactly like an egg McMuffin, or like an egg biscuit, which they didn't have there, but true story. So basically pubs, it was knocking it out of the park every time. They had the right amount of mixture of things, and by researching it ahead of time, we had a pretty good idea. And we ate in some buildings that are like, 14th century, 16th century. It was amazing, amazing. So I'm so glad that we did that, because I do feel like that let us have more of that flair. We did wander through a few markets. We didn't really, our large portion of our group was very overwhelmed with the borough markets on the weekend. We passed through twice, and honestly, the second time it was like suffocatingly wall-to-wall people. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute. So the markets were like that. And then food stands, like in the train stations, got some pasties. So it's just, I was very pleased. We ran into a supermarket a couple of times to get like packaged snacks to take with us on our goings, and that worked out very well as well. Like each kid picked something, we were happy. We did do one fast food, and that was the morning we got there, because it was a McDonald's. It was close by where we were. We needed something, and I needed something my kids would eat, because we were rapidly melting down with the having just gotten off the red eye. So we did do that on our way to the Disney store, which was so fun. So we did do that. We also ate at several cafes at places where we were. And again, I didn't feel like the prices, British Museum and Natural History Museum, I didn't feel like the prices were anything out of the norm for if you're eating at places like that here at home. I did find, and I really did feel like this, the portion sizes at these places was huge. Like everywhere we went, the portion size was like massive. So I don't know how they're allowed to talk about American portion sizes. These things were massive, like everywhere we went. My kid had like a grilled chicken ciabatta sandwich. It was so big. I mean, we easily could have split food everywhere. My husband and I did, because there's like a few things we want to try, so we do that all the time. We're old married couple, of course. Tea service. We did a tea. Science tea at the Ampersand Hotel. First of all, that hotel is stunning and gorgeous. My kid was like, it's so fancy, and it was so fancy. We were in the drawing rooms. They come out. They did like the dry ice. They had a little paleontology dig, little spacemen. I mean, they were so accommodating and so wonderful. The only thing that I would say in criticism, we were like the only people in there. There were 2 individual people at other tables having like tea. And it was dark because it was like 6 o'clock. And it was so quiet that it made it a little awkward. But other than that, I mean, it was so good, so amazing. The scones were great. You know, clotted cream is just kind of like unflavored butter, I think. I don't know. I don't mind it, but I felt like I always had to mix it with jam. But anyways, so it was it was so wonderful. It's such a great experience. I probably have enough. I'll probably make like a reel over on Instagram. Again, anything you want to see or hear more about, let me know. And I'll cycle back to it. It's just I don't want to inundate you with nothing but travel stuff, because I know that that's not why most of you are here. I didn't feel like it was so expensive. I haven't added it up yet, but I didn't feel like any of the prices were like, oh my gosh, because that's what I had heard, is that it was so expensive, so expensive, so expensive. And I just don't necessarily feel like it was. But I'll let you know in that budget video if that is accurate or not accurate. Okay. Oh, and our Virgin Atlantic flight back, because we left in the morning, like 9, and we traveled back all day. So it was part of my bribery for the kids. Like, I need you to sleep on this flight. You can stay up the whole flight back, because my thinking was we got up at 5, we're at the airport at 6. Oh, the night before, my husband was looking at the Heathrow stuff, and they're testing out a new thing where you can make a reservation for security. And so we did, and it was amazing. And they were so nice to us, and we had like liquid medicine we were traveling with. They were so kind, so patient. We got to go to a different spot that was less hectic and less crazy. So it just made for a much easier experience doing this reservation. So I'm so glad he found that. I'm so glad we were able to do that. I do think it made our Heathrow experience so much more enjoyable. Not going through the wild lines, and also going really early and not checking a bag. All of that kind of stuff I think really played into making it quite a bit easier. We stayed at Premier Inn Terminal 4. Flew out of Terminal 3 or 2, I don't remember. But we basically did a full day. We stored our luggage at the hotel, the first hotel, went back, got the luggage, and then got on a train. And we did not book the Heathrow Express tickets back. And I kind of regret that in a respect. Several of the lines were down for maintenance. We thought we were going to encounter strikes, but we didn't. No transportation strikes. But we did, a couple of lines were down for maintenance, like the normal lines. So you're kind of stuck on other things. We made it on to coming back. And it's just the way that City Mapper mapped it, and my husband went with it. I wish we had done either the Elizabeth line or done Heathrow Express back, or traveled out of Paddington. Instead, we didn't. I think we did Piccadilly line, and it was jam-packed. My husband wound up in a different subway car than me and the in-laws and all the kids and all the luggage. I mean, he had luggage. But for the full journey, it was so crazy. And then all of a sudden it was packed, and there was like this big announcement. If you're going to Terminal 4, you need to get off now, or blah, blah, blah. I was like, what? And so I'm like getting everybody and getting them on and off. And it was a lot of responsibility. It was very stressful. So I wish we had done that differently. So I didn't love that. And I wish we had done it differently. So we went into the basement of the airport, or whatever, ground floor, subfloor, and then pop up, and there's literally a hallway, a complete wonderful elevated covered walkway that takes you to 4 different hotels, and one of them was the one that we stayed at. So I thought that worked swimmingly, because once we got there, it was a dream. We went in, checked in, went to a room, came back down, walked the walkway, walked to the airport, to the right terminal, boom, done. Heaven. So that was wonderful. The only thing is that one train, I wish we would have done that differently. So that's probably, I'm going to circle back. That's probably my big differently for this video. But anyways, flight back, I told the kids, you sleep on the way there. You can do whatever you want on the way back. So we leave at 5 a.m. We headed to the airport at 6, up at 5 a.m., headed to the airport at 6, flight at 9, into Miami. That terminal was garbage. There was like nothing to eat. There was nowhere to sit. It was jam-packed. I don't love Miami, and I don't think I'll do that again, but we did it because had we chosen Orlando, I didn't feel comfortable with the amount of turnaround time that there was, that we would have been able to make a flight back home that night. And I knew that both Miami and Orlando had hotels. The one in Miami was going to be cheaper if we needed to crash the night. We wound up having such an excess of time that it was like, what? Because Miami was having bad weather and they had pushed our flight back, but then scheduled it back earlier, but we have TSA and global entry. So we were able to zip right through that. So we just sat there waiting around for a few hours and then made it on our flight home to Houston, got here. The car battery was dead, and so the parking lot people were able to jump it. It was like a whole thing. But basically, me and my children, we were all awake for 22 hours. So it made for like a long day, but all we did was sit that day. So it was like but it helped us get back onto like normal time here. Again, I'm not sad we did it that way, but it is what it is. But the Virgin Atlantic flight back, told them they could stay awake the whole time. They watched movie after movie after movie, played game after game after game. And Virgin Atlantic, I swear to Jesus, they fed us like every hour. It was the craziest thing. We get on, we get settled, they bring you a drink. And then a little while later, they bring you a meal. So they brought us a full meal, which don't forget to let them know if you have dietary restrictions or kids, they come out earlier and the kids meals are like special kids meals. Oh, they also got like a backpack full of goodies when we're getting back on the plane. So spoiled, spoiled, spoiled. Like activities and a poppet, all kinds of things. Okay, so then they come around with like beer and wine and then coffee for after your meal. And then later they come around with water and juice and then more water and juice and then coffee and then like beer and wine if you want it. And then a little while later, like a tea service and then like more water. And then here is an ice lolly. So we had popsicles and then here's some mints. Like they just kept feeding and drinking us like the whole time back. It was bananas to me. I had so many coffees and sodas and I had wine and I had beer. It was wild. I swear they were just constantly plying us with things to eat and drink. It was wild. And all included in the price of our flights, which was wild to me. So anyways, that was crazy. That was it. They basically, and it wasn't like that on the way there. Granted, on the way there we were sleeping, but it's just so much stuff on the way back, which I thought was great. But yeah, that was it. I think that's all I'm gonna shove into this video. It's a lot, I know, but I'm trying to like get it all, be thorough. You know, I talk too fast and somebody's gonna complain. It is what it is. Slow it down. There's a little setting button right down where I'm talking. It looks like a little gear. Click it, change the speed. You're fine. But yes, it's a lot. I know. Okay, so let's go with my love, didn't love. Love. I loved that we went when we did. It was still packed, even with it being in the middle of the week and it's like not school break in winter and the least crowded time. Holy smokes, London has a lot of people, which I know this and I knew this, but goodness. Okay, I'm not talking just at times when it was a lot. So I'm glad we went when we did. We got so lucky with weather. There was one morning, the very last morning when it was like a little wet, but we never took out ponchos or rain jackets. So good with weather. Expected that to be a nightmare. Oh, and travel loofahs. I'm so glad we had the travel loofahs, which is like a thing that I think a lot of people do, but we've never done it. But I will do that forever. We each have like a miniature loofah, 4 colors, color coded. I'm so glad we have that. That's one thing we did well. And planning ahead saved us so much money, so much energy. Planning ahead was the right thing to do. And then my didn't love. My didn't love is that some things like the London Eye, a hall at one of the museums, Horrible Histories tour are closed because it's the off season. So I didn't love that. And it is what it is. If we ever go back, we know we'll prioritize those things. But I feel fulfilled, like we've checked the box totally, so we're good. But yeah, so yes, didn't love that. And then I wish we had done something different for our trip back, but that was just it. The train trip back, all the people, all the luggage. I wish we would have done that a little differently, but it worked out. We're good. So that, guys, I know it's long. Thanks for sticking with me. I hope I've injected so many pictures and things like that. Everything after this, we've got 4 more videos coming up. The 3 in the middle will be more of like what we did. This was kind of logisticy, and the last one will be like a recap and budgets. But I'm doing this so that it's not like all London all the time for like 3 months. So thanks for sticking with me. For those of you who stayed through to the end, I appreciate you and I love you. And be sure to follow on Instagram to see more specific stuff. If there's anything you want to know, anything else you want to see or hear about, come back here. I'm here for you. I will let you know. Okay, so yeah, don't forget to scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me down in the comments or over on Instagram at MakingEverydayMagic.